Okay, well, believe it or not, everybody, we have just finished the last section of the last class in our preparation for Cramfest. And on that note, I do want to thank everybody here for hanging in with us. And I'm going to do something a little bit different. We have got about a half an hour left. And, so far, the only questions that we've been working on in the test have been the ones that have been built into the narrative of the instructional portions of the briefings that we're using. But I thought tonight, and especially since we've got about a half an hour left, that we might go through some more questions. So for our students, I'd like to invite you all to come off mute for a little while because let's go ahead and have a quiz. Let's do a little bit of early Cramfest here. And the first topic we'll cover is, seeing as how we just covered safety, let's go ahead and answer a few questions about that. So, question number one, what is a good way to guard against electrical shock at your station? And this should look pretty familiar to you. It seems to me we saw this before. Does anybody want to venture a guess at the correct answer here? Tell you what, I'm liking all three of those answers. So, are we in agreement that the answer to this is D? I
Is
sure hope
everybody
so.
everybody off mute?
Yeah. And I'll have to, Steve and Bill, I'll have to defer to you because my control panel for Zoom is covered right now.
Yeah, we still have a bunch of people on mute, but we have a few people off of mute.
Okay. Well, again, for all of our students, I invite you to come off mute. Let's go ahead and do a few of these questions together. And I'll tell you what, I'll move on to the next one. And also, this was in the narrative of the briefing in the United States. What circuit does black wire insulation indicate in a 3-wire 120-volt cable? Anybody want to venture a guess?
A.
I'm sorry, say that again.
B.
You got it. Absolutely. That is the hot wire. Okay. Where should a fuse or circuit breaker be installed in a 120 volt AC power circuit?
A.
In series with a hot conductor only. That is absolutely correct. Glad to see that you were paying attention there, Wes. What is the purpose of a fuse in an electrical circuit? This one's a little bit trickier. We never talked about ripple, so I don't think it's A.
B.
You got it. That's correct. A fuse will remove power to avoid an overload. Now, C there, the reason why C is not correct is because a fuse is kind of like either on or off. It doesn't really have a methodology of limiting current. It's only going to it's either going to allow the current to go or it's going to shut it off completely. Okay, why should a 5 amp fuse never be replaced with a 20 amp fuse? Anyone?
C.
You got it. Yep. Excessive current could cause a fire. You never want to replace a fuse with a larger one. Like I mentioned before, and you don't need to know this for the exam, you can get away with using a smaller fuse. It may blow on you prematurely, but you never want to put in a bigger one. What hazard exists in a power supply immediately after turning it off? We talked about a device that is very common in power supplies. Anybody?
D.
Oh, you got it. Okay, I was just about to jump in there. Yep, it's the charge stored in the filter capacitors. Remember, those capacitors are almost kind of like little batteries, and they can store a lot of energy in them. And yeah, they can give you quite a jolt. Which of the following precautions should be taken when measuring high voltage with a voltmeter? They misspelled voltmeter. They spelled it voltmeter, but I think we know what they mean. Okay, I'll jump in. That's going to be B. What you want to make sure is that the voltmeter and leads are rated for use at the voltages to be measured. You don't want to use, go measure voltages that are way above or above at all, what your voltmeter is rated for. You risk both electrical hazards, and you can also damage your voltmeter. How health hazard is presented, or it really should be what health hazard is presented by electrical current flowing through the body. And I think this one here is pretty much common sense there. But does anybody want to take a stab at it? Okay, well, in this one here, all of these choices are correct. It can cause injury by heating tissue, it can disrupt the electrical function of cells, and it can cause involuntary muscle contractions. What hazard is caused by charging or discharging a battery too quickly?
A.
You got it. Overheating or outgassing. Yeah, very, very hazardous. Can cause fires, all kinds of bad things. Okay, which of the following is a safety hazard of a 12-volt storage battery? I don't know. Did they do this one? I don't think this was in the courseware we covered. So yeah, we got to think about this one a little bit. But everybody give that a little bit of thought. Which of the following would be a safety hazard of a 12-volt storage battery?
B.
Yep, I would agree with that. Yep, shorting those terminals can cause burns, fires, or an explosion. Yeah, storage batteries can contain, tremendous amounts of energy. And, if you've ever accidentally like had a, short, hopefully only temporarily shorted out the battery terminals in your car or something like that, that's the kind of excitement we're talking about there. Which of the following is an important safety precaution to observe when putting up an antenna tower? And I think this one falls in the. Oh, well, actually, this is a little bit of a twist on what I was thinking about. This one here, I wonder if they made a mistake on this one here, because I'll tell you, they say look for and stay clear of any overhead electrical wires. I guess that is correct. And I'll tell you what, everybody bear with me for a second. I just want to look this one up really fast because insulate the base. It says insulate. I'm sorry, disregard. No, C is the correct answer on that. I was looking at B and I was thinking, for some reason, I looked at that and I was thinking of grounding, but never mind. Nope, it's to look for and stay clear of any overhead electrical wires. What is the minimum safe distance from a power line to allow when installing an antenna? And you might remember this is the one that I felt that the answer to this was almost a little bit still too close.
D.
You got it. That's D. Yeah, so if the antenna falls, no part can come closer than 10 feet to the power wires. Why should you avoid attaching an antenna to a utility pole? Okay, for this one here, that's C. Again, utility poles and things like that, those are no places for antennas. And the big hazard, of course, is coming in contact with high voltage power wires. So what is required when climbing an antenna tower? And this is one of the questions that we did see earlier. And again, a pretty good common sense question. Okay, for this one here, the answer is D. All of those answers are correct. You want to have sufficient training on tower climbing techniques, use an appropriate tie off to the tower at all times, and wear an approved climbing harness. Under what circumstances is it safe to climb a tower without a helper or observer? Ooh, hey, good question. When would it be
C.
safe to climb a tower without a helper or observer? And the answer to that one is absolutely, positively never. Always make sure you got a safety observer. What is the purpose of a safety wire through a turnbuckle used on tension guy lines?
B.
You got it. Prevent loosening of the turnbuckle from vibration. Kind of like I use that analogy of the windstorm that we had last night there. Got to make sure those are properly secured. Which of the following is an important safety rule to remember when using a crank up tower?
C.
You got it. C.
I couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was Bill.
That was
Okay.
Bill.
Yeah, well, Bill was right. Yeah, that type of tower must never be climbed unless it's retracted or the mechanical safety locking devices have been installed. Okay, which of the following establishes grounding requirements for an amateur radio tower or antenna? Let's see, does the FCC do that? Does the FAA? Does everybody know what UL is? That is Underwriters Laboratory. Those are the people who, test everything in your house. But the
B.
answer, yep, that's correct. It's local electrical codes are going to control that. What is a proper grounding method for a tower? And they had a really cool picture of this a little bit earlier.
D.
You're on there. Wes, you were tearing this stuff up, buddy. Going to be ready to take your exam in no time. What should be done to all external ground rods or earth connections? Oh, this is a good question.
C.
Yep, I agree. That is C. You want to bond them together with heavy wire or conductive strap. We talked about the conductive strap having lots of surface area, which is
Can I
very
make
helpful.
a comment?
Certainly.
That also includes your radio system ground outside your window and the ground at your power panel. You always, always, always bond those ground rods together.
Mhm.
Again, because if there's a nearby lightning strike, those ground rods can end up at very different voltages, and there can be a serious current flow through your equipment. But if they're bonded together, they're going to be locked at the same voltage.
Mhm. Excellent point. Okay, which of the following is good practice when installing ground wires or on a tower for lightning protection? Well, one thing we know is definitely not right. ground wire bends are right angles. We don't want to do that. So we know it's not all of the choices are correct. So yeah, for grounding ones, we want to make sure they're very short and very direct. Which of the following conductors is preferred for bonding at RF?
D,
You betcha. Yep, the best one you can use is a flat copper strap. Unless you happen to be really rich and you can avoid a flat gold strap, I suppose. Which of the following is true when installing ground conductors used for lightning protection? Oh, good question.
C,
Yep, sharp bends must be avoided. Where should a lightning arrestor be installed in a coax feed line?
B,
I'm sorry, Wes, did you say B or D?
B,
B? This one here, unfortunately, is D. We want to do that at a grounding panel near where the feed lines enter the building. What factors affect the RF exposure of people near an amateur radio station antenna?
D,
Yep, D. All of those choices, A, B, and C, are correct. All choices are correct. Why do exposure limits vary with frequency?
D,
Absolutely. Human body absorbs more RF energy at some frequencies than others. And I'll tell you what, we're going to do one more question, and then I am going to break over to another topic because there are a few things I want to talk to everybody about, because this is obviously our last study session, and there are a few things that you want to do between now and Cramfest weekend. So our last question for the evening will be, at which of the following frequencies does maximum permissible exposure have the lowest value? And the hint is that this is the frequency that we associate with the 6-meter ham radio band. Anybody remember that?
B,
You got it. 50 megahertz, B. Okay, everybody, tell you what, I'm going to take a break because my throat is actually starting to give out on me a little bit. A couple of things that I want to talk to everybody about as we get ready for, whoops, that's not the presentation I was looking for. Bear with me here. I just need to minimize some things here. Okay. A few things for the folks that are going to be coming to Cramfest, and some things that are pretty much for everybody. Let me go ahead and fast forward into my slides here. And by the way, this is that slide presentation that I sent out a few weeks back. It's got some neat little things about ham radio, just a little bit of information here and there. I will attach this to the last to the bulletin that I send out about tonight's lesson, along with links to where the recordings are and everything. But for the folks that are coming to Cramfest, be sure to go ahead and sign up for your FCC registration number, your FRN. And to do that, you go to this website here. It's www.fcc/wireless, blah, 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 blah. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and hopefully it will open up that page for me here. Well, it's going to make a liar out of me. Come on now. Okay, well, it might be me, but at any rate, this is the link. Hopefully the link will work okay on your computer. If it doesn't, just copy this in and go to that site there and go ahead and register with them. You'll create a username and password with the FCC. There's no charge for that at all, but you need that FRN number when you come to Cramfest because you'll need that for your exam.
You could take a screenshot of this, and that way you'd have the information on your computer right away.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and this is in the presentation that I've sent out previously as well. Now, the other thing I'd like everybody to do is take some practice exams. Between now and when you come to Cramfest, it would be really great if you can get a bunch of the practice exams under your belt. And you do that by going to the A-ARA website and go to the exam review section. Let me see if I can get this link to work. I am just batting 1,000. Let me see if I can go ahead and bring that up because I do want to show you where that is. Okay, so if you go to the ARRL website, if you come over here to licensing, education, and training, and let's see, getting licensed, newly licensed. Oh, doggone it, where is it in there? My apologies, I really should have looked for this before. Well, in the interest of time, it is on the ARRL website. Let me see if practice. If that'll work, if you can word search us. Yeah, here we go. Ham radio license exam practice. So if you go to the ARRL website, that's arrl.org, and just type in practice exam up there, you can get to the ham radio exam practice section here, and you can go in and sign up. There, you will need an additional username and password with them to do the practice exams. But go ahead and start taking practice exams. And the way that you want to do this is go in and take the exam. It'll tell you what grade you got after you take it. And then go and it'll also tell you the questions you got wrong. Just go ahead and take a look at those questions you got wrong and figure out, the correct answer to them and give it another try. Just go ahead and take more exams. As a rule of thumb, if you can get to the point where you have an average exam score of about 85 or so, you're doing really well. Now, if you don't quite get to that point before Cramfest, don't be discouraged because all of those questions, when we get to Cramfest, we're going to go through all of those questions. It's going to be a lot of like what we just did at the end of the safety class there. We're going to do one question after another. If you're confused about a question, we'll take a short stop and explain it and make sure that you're comfortable with it again and go through them. But again, if you have that opportunity to go in and take these practice exams, it's a great way to get ready for the exam because the questions that are on here are exactly what you're going to see on the exam when you go to take your license. All righty. And once again, Cramfest is going to be held the weekend of the 8th, 9th, and 10th. That will be at St. John's Church, and that is right off of Potomac Avenue. And there are parking lots on either side of the church right here. You do have to drive in the back, but the entrance to where the Cramfest will be, and I'll send out more detailed instructions. You go in the entrance that's over here in, shall we say, the northeast corner of the building, and just go immediately downstairs. There's a staircase immediately off to the right. And that's where we hold our ARA, Antietam Radio Association meetings. And by the way, we have one of those next Tuesday, the 5th at 7 o'clock. And if you would like to come and join us, we'll be talking about the final preparations for Cramfest. And we'd absolutely love to have you there. So again, my voice is kind of given out on me. We're pretty much coming up on the top of the hour. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything at all about Cramfest, anything that we've covered, or about ham radio in general?
Just a quick comment for those people who might want to throw Potomac Avenue into their GPS. It's off of South Potomac Street, not Potomac Avenue. There's
Oh,
Different
okay.
places.
Good catch there, Bill.
But
Okay.
I think this entire month went extremely well.
Well, thank you, Bill. And I want to thank all of our students for hanging in there with us. Also, truthfully, you got a big leg up on going into Cramfest. Um, it's going to be a long weekend. I hope you can hang with us for as much as you can possibly stand throughout that weekend. But I think you're going to be in very, very good shape when it comes to taking your license. You've got a huge head start. So, once again, any questions or comments? Well, again, thanks everybody. We, of course, have recorded these sessions. We'll post them again. If you got questions about anything at all, drop us a note at there's the learn@antietamradio.com email address you can send it to, or you can reply to any of the emails that I've had. Bill is going to correct me, I think, on that email address.
.org.
.org, doggone it. Or just go ahead and feel free to reply to any of the emails that I've sent out. That's another way to do it. We'll definitely answer your questions. But looking forward to seeing most of you anyway at Cramfest. And oh, by the way, if you do have any friends that are interested in ham radio, please let them know about us. And hey, if they've got a pretty good memory, ask them to come to Cramfest. You know, Cramfest is kind of intended to take you from zero all the way to your license. So, you know, if you do know somebody who's interested in ham radio and would like to come to that and can give us the whole weekend, we'll do everything that we can to get their license for them. So, so Steve and Bill, any closing comments for the group?
No, I've enjoyed this, and I hope the students have gotten a head start here. So it was fun for me.
Yeah,
I like this stuff.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Okay, all righty. Bill, any closing comments for the group?
No, I think I made mine when I corrected you there, Joe. I feel really bad about that. Son.
Hey, no, don't feel bad, man. You got my back. I appreciate you. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks, and looking forward to seeing you either at the meeting on Tuesday and/or Cramfest.
I do have a question, Joe.
Sure.
Tell me your story about lightning or about electrostatics making your hair stand up.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think everybody on